It's signing day and most of Michigan's class is signed. So we are going to talk about everything that's been going on today, some of these players, what they're going to project to, and more right here on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday. We are back and doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, #1 sports network in America. Incredible. Anyway, my name is Isaiah Hull, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. Thank you to all of you who make us your first listen. Thank you to all of our everydayers. Obviously, we're doing a little bit later show as usual. We're doing as best as we can to wait for some of these stragglers to come in. I'll first address the Savion hider of it all. No one that I know seems to have any concern or issue here with what's going on. The lack of a signing at this point. I haven't heard anything from my main sources there. So I'm going to continue to be unconcerned as far as that goes. So that's where we're at. But today we're going to talk about the craziness that is today, just the general of National Signing Day, where Michigan is, where it stands at the moment. Then we're going to go into not necessarily superlatives, but something kind of like it. And then we'll talk about J.B. Brown being fired from his job as special teams coordinator and what I would like to see happen there compared to what I think will happen there. All right, let's get into it. It's been kind of a crazy day. Obviously, we're waiting for Savion Hyder. We're waiting to find out if there's any reason why it's taken him so long. His ceremony was supposed to be at 4. He was always supposed to be signing around 4. It's at the time of me recording this, it's 5:45. I actually should put my phone out here just so I can keep an eye on it in case there's anything that comes up here. We've got an article ready to go for that and everything. So that's adding a little drama. I'm not terribly concerned, right? It was kind of the similar stuff with, there's always like one or two where it's like, oh, is there a reason? And everyone's like, no, there's no reason. And then people start creating narratives and start creating reasons. So there's that. I'm not that concerned about him. Obviously, Michigan got the win with Travis Robinson, who suddenly started having eyes for Virginia Tech. And same thing with Andre Clark, who eventually did end up signing right before we started the show up here. But James Franklin obviously trying to do his most he can to keep guys in Virginia home. I don't know if that's what's going on with Hyder. Again, no one seems to have any idea at the moment why that hasn't happened as of me saying this at this moment, which is going to be horribly outdated. So let's go ahead and move on by the time that everyone kind of watches or listens. Zion Robinson and Julian Walker are the 2 of the 3 or 2 of the 4 that haven't signed yet as well. So we'll circle back to Travis Johnson, but Zion Robinson sounds like he's kind of between Stanford, supposedly Texas Tech, and some of the other Texas schools are trying to get involved, but it sounds more like Stanford's really taken a big swing and has caused him to have a little bit of trepidation. So it'll be interesting to see what Michigan's able to do there. Obviously, they finished closed with Travis Robinson, even though he seemed to be having cold feet there for a minute. Everyone was really concerned, I think, mostly because he looks like a guy who could play right away. He's had an elite senior year. But we'll see what happens with Zion Robinson. I'm not really sure what the delay is with Marky Walbridge at this juncture. And then obviously Julian Walker, we've been kind of in wait and see mode for months now because South Carolina was going to loom large given his dad's place on the staff. I mean, I've said it before, especially since strength coach, Michigan could, doesn't have to have numbers there. I would hire his dad to come to Ann Arbor. That's what I would do. And just end that deal right now. I think we have Azuri joining us for the first time in forever here. Come on, you can kind of get up here. Yeah, I think she can't get up. There we go. Here we go. So codependent to this dog. All right, we'll put the microphone over here. So we'll see what happens with Julian Walker. Right now, that one's more up in the air. It kind of sounds like I'll credit Josh Henschke Zion Robinson, it sounds like Michigan's kind of doing the right things. There's some like misinformation out there that Michigan's not willing to spend and all that kind of stuff. Like that's not the case whatsoever. Like Michigan's going to do what it takes, right? They haven't lost any of their signees yet, right? Like, okay, there's a couple of guys, and it's never good usually when you hear like other schools are pushing, they're delaying their decision. Usually that's not good, of course. But at this juncture, they have not lost any of them. So like the meltdowns, guys, just settle down right now. And if they lose a guy, they lose a guy. You'd never like to see it. I think we all can remember that Xavier Worthy was actually on campus before he went on to have a starring role at Texas. But it's not all, it doesn't always work out that way, right? Like you've seen guys flip to other schools and then basically disappear. So I just really would not put that much stock into it. Transfer portal's a thing too. Savion Hyder is of the highest importance, of course. So we'll see what happens there. Where was I going to go with? Oh, yeah. What would be interesting to see is Calvin Russell, who I have not really thought that Michigan would circle back, but Pete Nakos said that Michigan's been in communication with him. He delayed his decision. If you don't remember Calvin Russell, he's the guy who essentially was coming to Michigan, delayed without any warning, kind of delayed his announcement and then announced for Syracuse. So that is just kind of generally interesting. I'll be interested to see if Michigan's actually making a push there. Did feel like, as if you harken back to some of the older shows from that era in the summer, kind of put a bad taste in everyone's mouth, not just yours, certainly Michigan's and everything. It was not the type of thing that people were like, well, okay, we'll just see what happens come signing day and keep pushing, right? Like that happens. And, some guys like Jordan Deck had signed or had Michigan didn't really push as hard as they could have. And he ended up going to Baylor, and then he ends up flipping to Ann Arbor. So, and then he ended up signing today. So, I mean, I just wouldn't put too much stock yet into the reports there. We'll see. I'm waiting to hear back from my guys as far as that's concerned, to hear kind of where they stand with some of those recruitments. But all in all, I mean, what they have signed, I mean, Carter Meadows was one of the first ones in. You love to see it. That bodes very well. And there's just, I think, a lot to like about this class. Let's get into some of the guys who I think can really be dudes. And no, listen, some classes, I mean, this is a pretty big class, 28 as it stands right now, although there's 24 signed at the moment. That, I still think back to like 2018 where they hit on pretty much everybody. And then 2017, which was like the best class that they had really up until last year. And they missed on almost everybody. So it's hard to really tell, right? But let's get into some of those dudes, who I think those dudes are going to be. We'll do that here in just a moment. But before we do, NFL Sundays, move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting from FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right. There's a name that I forgot to add here. Oh, I didn't. I actually added him. I knew what I was thinking before I knew I was thinking it. All right. So, again, caveats here is, when not everyone here is signed, and there's, some up in the air. But the first category I put here is instant elite, guys who are going to be able to come in and be difference makers in year one. I don't think it's going to surprise anyone that Savion Hyder and Travis Johnson are the two that I have here. Travis Johnson already has those measurables, immeasurables, all of those things that you want to see from a wide receiver. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the hands, he's at a position of need. Doesn't erase the necessity of going out and getting what I think should be 2 wide receivers from the portal, but certainly makes it a little bit less of a concern. I mean, you still at least want to go get like a real dude, and they tried to do that last year with Skylar Bell, but they still need to get some guys, right? They, if you got like Ohio State and some of these other schools, Oregon, Indiana, I mean, they've got multiple guys where it's like you can't defend them all. Michigan needs to get there with its passing game, 100%. But Savion Hyder, I mean, regardless of what happens with Justice Haynes, I see people saying, oh, maybe Justice Haynes potentially coming back. There's seems to be a little bit of smoke there that they've put together a package. They've got Justice thinking about it. No decision's been made as of yet, but he's thinking about it. That could pay some dividends for next year's team, but then you maybe lose out on Hyder. I don't think that's the case, number one. Number two, I think Hyder is going to play no matter what, right? Like you can watch across college football. Michigan loves to use more than one running back anyway. There's no reason why they can't use 3. I understand you might be taking away some snaps, but I mean, Donovan Edwards got some run in year 1, probably a little less than you would have hoped. But I mean, by the end of the year, I mean, he was really in there. So I don't think that matters. Now, I think then that makes the curious case of Bryson Kostal. I don't think that matters. I think he's a difference maker, and he can be a difference maker right away. Guys who will leave elite. We'll start with Carter Meadows because that's obvious. I don't think that he's necessarily going to be because he's got some work to do as far as filling in his frame, I think, before he ends up being a guy that necessarily is like a year 1 guy. He might be a year 1 guy. I could end up being wrong there. But more so likely Julian Walker, if he does sign with Michigan, I think is that guy that could be a year 1 guy and play more than Nate Marshall did this year. Again, positions of need because they're going to lose that entire defensive line essentially. Alistair Vallejo. I think I could see him having kind of a similar, I mean, he kind of had a similar, right? Like at the time that he committed to Michigan, I think he was a consensus 3-star. Michigan and Notre Dame were the 2 that he was considering. He chose Michigan. I think that you can see the Mason Graham in every kind of way. Not a wrestler, but he's got that same type of upside, that same body type. He plays the same. He's a shot put guy. So, I mean, he's got strength. He's upon strength upon strength. I could see him being used kind of similar to Mason, who we started seeing a little bit in week 5 back in 2022, his freshman year. And he had a couple moments here and there. 2022, both the Iowa game, he made a big play. Against Michigan State, he made a big play. But like, he wasn't like a guy that it was like, oh, you can't take him off the field. Not yet. But I could see Alistair Vallejo having kind of the same. Malakai Lee, I think he's going to be incredible by the time he gets through it. But like, they've got so much talent at tackle right now. Obviously, the 2 guys who have just been starting. I keep forgetting about Andrew Babalola. But Malakai Lee, I feel like in a couple years, 2-3 years is going to be like a stalwart, right? Like he's just. There's a reason why they were every moment that they were flying Grant Newsome out to Honolulu for like a day. I mean, as someone who doesn't even like taking 40-minute flights, I can't even imagine an 8-hour flight, 9-hour flight out to Hawaii just for like a day. Titan Davis, who just looks like a freak of nature. Considered interior, but he looks like an edge rusher. I'm really curious to see how they use him. But he's another guy that like Alabama really wanted him and ends up signing with Michigan. That's huge. As far as surprises are concerned, I'll start with Jordan Deck, he's a 4-star. So it's not like and that's the name I was thinking of there. It's coming into segment 2. I think that Jordan Deck is, by the time that he leaves, he's just going to be a fan favorite. He's going to be one of those guys that everyone's like, man, what a get. How is he rated? Like, the guy was a 4-star, but how is he rated in like the 300s? I think that's what's going to be the case there. Sorry, I can't get too deep in the scout talk. I'm not a scout. I just want to preface that. Not really preface. It's postface that. Tariq Boney, by all accounts of, and I'm more so trusting people who've had eyes on him, like EJ Holland, believes that he not only is he a Josiah Stewart clone, but like the production speaks for itself. Like the rating, not great, but the production speaks for itself, right? Like, because here's the thing is you have to remember the way that they do these rankings is essentially NFL potential most of the time. It's not necessarily guys who can dominate in college. Now, Josiah Stewart ended up getting drafted in the third round at his stature, but like generally these people are looking at measurables that do the rankings, and he doesn't have them, but he has the production, and we've seen it work in Ann Arbor. So it'll be really interesting to see. Caden Catchings, the second ever player from Mississippi to come to Michigan behind Jeremy Lesure. Michigan's had their eye on him. He's a linebacker. Was committed to Liberty and then flipped to USF and then flipped to Michigan. Had a really good senior year. I don't know a ton about him, but he's a guy that I feel is like a little bit of a sleeper, right? Like, just one of those like Jamaric Woods types in terms of like plays in kind of a, rural South area there. I mean, I could end up being wrong. Flowood, might not be that rural, but I think that he will be interesting. Mason Bonner, I think, is going to be a guy. He's got the same, is not as elite as Colston Loveland was playing out of Idaho. And I think, you hear that and you'd be like, well, why aren't you talking Matt Ludwig? Listen, I think Matt Ludwig is aptly ranked, and I think he'll be very good. Mason Bonner has a kind of a similar trajectory, though, as being a guy who was primarily a wide receiver, has good hands. And I think when they fill him out, I think that he might end up being one of those guys that surprises at the tight end position. Generally underrated. I have three guys here. Bear McQuarter, who I think could just absolutely maul. Guy that dropped down the rankings. I know he had a 4th star at one point when he committed. He ended up being a consensus 3-star. I think that he's going to end up being an absolute mauler. Same thing with like Tommy Frauman, who's a legacy. Both of his parents were student athletes at Michigan. He grew up in Ann Arbor. I think that they feel like they found something in him. We'll see. I'll throw Tommy Carr, who I don't have listed here. They're both committed to Miami of Ohio before flipping. Tommy Carr, Lloyd Carr's grandson, brother of CJ Carr. I would not be surprised if he ends up being the dude over Brady Smigel. Now, I'm not saying that as a knock on Smigel. I just think that you look at what Tommy Carr has done at Saline. I think he's a good fit for what Michigan tends to want to do. We'll see. I mean, obviously it changes by the time that he comes around, right? Like Sherrone Moore's got to pick it up, right? I think we all are in agreement of that. If the offense can't look like the way it did through the big games this last year and expect everything to remain the same. But I think that he could end up being really good. But the one that I really want to highlight here is Jalen Pyle, who does not get a lot of love here. Every time I've seen highlights of Jalen Pyle, now keep in mind, they are highlights. I know he isn't that speedy, but he finds ways to get open. I've watched plenty of his 7-on-7s. He's a team guy. He's the first, he wasn't the first commit, but he's now the longest tenured because they had a couple other guys like Brady Hart who were committed earlier and end up going elsewhere, right? I think that he's got the intangibles. He's the type of guy that is just oozes leadership. If you want like to give someone credit, I know everyone was giving Mikhail Blade and Brady Smigel all the credit in the world for helping put together this recruiting class and really staying on guys and building the bond between the players or the recruits. I think Jalen Pyle, from everything I've heard, is the guy, the one. Like he is. Now you hope that it doesn't end up being a Michael Ferns situation or a Shane Morris situation. They were rated higher. But every time I've seen highlights of him, I mean, he's just been absolutely incredible. He has good hands. What does Michigan really needed? Good hands. He finds ways to get open. What does Michigan need? Guys who find ways to get open. So while he might not be like a burner, I mean, he is a little bit more diminutive in size. I think you still have need for a guy that can do the types of things that he can do. So that's our recruiting portion. So we're going to move on to the JB Brown news here, and we'll do that here in just a moment. It's 6:04 and still no sign. What's going to happen is I'm going to hit publish and we're going to get news one way or the other on Savion. That's how that's going to go. But rendering, that's why I'm like, let's not talk about it too much, but we have to talk about it while we can. The show's not actually live. I just treat it like it's live. JB Brown is out. Took a few days. I would think that you'd want to see some more movement from some of the coaches. I don't want to call for people's jobs, but like there's just a lot of underperforming in a lot of different position groups. You can decide on your own what those are. But JB Brown out at special teams. I mean, it shouldn't have taken this long. It should have happened on Sunday, to be honest. And I feel bad for the guy. He's as nice as they come, really. But I mean, that whole special teams unit regressed like immeasurably, right? The only thing they didn't miss any extra points to my knowledge this year, but I mean, Dominic Zavada took a big step back. And, like that's one thing. Then Samaj Morgan didn't really look like he knew what he was doing out there. And Hudson Hollenbeck had an 11-yard punt against Ohio State, the biggest game of the year. He was already bad with like 30-yard punts. And now you have an 11-yard punt at hey, we really got to have a good punt, pin them deep. You're in the position on the field to be able to do that. And Ohio State gets the ball at midfield. That's unacceptable, inexcusable. So no surprise there. The one thing that is a surprise for me is in the statement that Michigan released is they said Sherrone Moore will start a search for a new special teams coordinator. And man, please don't. That's where I stand. I more so with those who are saying like Bryce needs a quarterbacks coach. I am with you on that, right? Like do everything to build around him. And that includes the coaches, right? Like I understand that you want to say, oh, we're Michigan, no one's bigger. Like, sorry, stop. You have an opportunity right now to potentially have the best passing game you have ever had, ever. Like Bryce is the type of guy who, if you really wanted to, you could throw for 5,000 yards, but you have to harness everything. You have to do everything that is necessary to get you there. You have to have everyone on the same page. So I don't know why they're thinking we're going to continue to have a position coach that most teams don't have one of their 10 dedicated to special teams. Most don't. Like if you get a special teams guy that I understand JB Brown was also working with safeties, but like it needs to be like a Chris Partridge type, like linebackers and special teams coordinator. Have a couple different guys. Like Sherrone watched that happen when it was Chris Partridge and Jay Harbaugh working with their respective groups and coordinating the special teams. That's what you need. They got to get smarter there. That was one of the things that like Michigan paid attention to that paid dividends. So I understand why Sherrone's like, I want to have a special teams coordinator, but I hope that was just like, media speak of like, hey, we got rid of a special teams coordinator. So we're going to get, but like words matter. So I'm assuming that it means what it says. I just hope that they are thinking about maximizing the potential of the places where the potential needs to be maximized the most, because you can get someone to be a special teams coordinator and a linebackers coach and an offensive line coach, whatever it might be, right? Like, I think that would be more important for Michigan to upgrade, either upgrade or just give someone that's already on staff that ability to oversee that. Now, obviously, you've got to have some you got to have some bona fides there, but I don't want to see one specialized guy with that when I think that there's, as much as the special teams need massive work, we've seen it work with some other coaches who can oversee that, right? Like if you're going to keep Ron Bellamy, which I'm not saying keep him or not keep him. I think he should stay at Michigan, even if let's say they decide to get a different wide receivers coach. I would keep Ron Bellamy on staff regardless. I think he's been a very good recruiter. He's a Michigan man. I think that he's worked mostly well with what he's had. I mean, he's been a high school coach. He's overseen special teams. I thought he did a good job when he was coaching safeties. So I would maybe move him to co-coach with Lamar and be a safeties coach and a special teams coordinator. I'm just spitballing here. Like, I'm not calling for him to actually lose his wide receiver. I'm just saying, like, if I was to make the decision, that's the decision that I would make. Okay. So that's what I would do. I don't love the idea of having a specialized guy just for that unit, even though it is 1/3. And we've seen how deleterious it can be when you do not have production there, because that's the one place where Michigan was winning games at times in the Harbaugh era, well before Sherrone was even around. I mean, they lost games there too, right? But and almost lost games, almost lost the Rose Bowl with the Jake Thaw drop, which unfortunately that's why he left. I think a lot of you look at him as a hero for recovering. He could not live with, to quote Thanos, you could not live with your own failure. I've had this conversation directly with Jake Thaw. That's why he left. He was like, I can't live with myself with the way that went. And I'm like, bro, you know that most Michigan fans are behind you. I mean, you recovered. You could have been the GOAT in a bad way, but you ended up being the GOAT in a good way. But he still couldn't. So it is important, but all right, that's going to do it for us today. Tomorrow we'll see if we do either. I haven't talked to either of our normal guests about when they're going to come on. So I don't know if we're going to do, if we're going to do manifesto. I don't know if we're going to do in the pocket, or if we're just going to go with something different. I don't know. We haven't gotten that through because we've been preparing for signing day all the last couple of days. It's a big day. So anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.